Yeah, that's better. Hey guys, it is me, Maddie Davis, and today I will be reviewing the 1989 film Do the Right Thing. Hell yeah. If you're new to my channel, welcome. This is the channel where I review movies every Friday on Film Buff Friday, movies that I have never seen before, movies that I am so excited to talk about. I'm also hoping that in having conversations with my camera in my room, I am not only making fun videos, but that I'm expanding and enriching my conversations in my day-to-day life, as well as your conversations about movies, about life. We have a lot to talk about in this film, so let us jump into this movie review. Written and directed by Spike Lee. Oh my god, Do the Right Thing is one that I have been just waiting to check off my list. The movie Spike Lee had made before this film came out included School Days and She's Gotta Have It, while Spike Lee is also known for Malcolm X, Black Klansman, and Da 5 Bloods that just came out on Netflix this month. This film, though, Do the Right Thing, was the one that got him on the radar as a big Hollywood director, a big force. And it is loosely inspired on the real-life case of Michael Stewart. In our cast, we have starring Spike Lee as Mookie and Danny Aiello, I don't know how to say his name, I'm so bad, as Sal. In addition, we have Rosie Perez, Giancarlo Esposito, Bill Nunn, Samuel L. Jackson, Ozzie Davis, Martin Lawrence, and John Turturro. Also, Spike Lee's sister Joey Lee is in this movie, playing his sister, and the wonderful music that is throughout this film was done by Spike Lee's dad, Bill Lee. So our film takes place in Brooklyn on the hottest day of the year. Just like temperatures are blazing, the racial tensions and aggressions between neighbors are boiling up as well. Emotional hydrants are open and ready to burst. Spike Lee does beautiful imagery to support this all. Overall, this movie is such a beautifully multi-layered movie. It is fun and comedic in build-up, and then ultimately the ending of this movie is just outright unsettling. And I think Spike Lee is the master at putting truth onto screen to make us feel uncomfortable and to make us have conversations about what we're saying. So what I really loved about this film in a technical cinematic aspect were the choices made with the camera angles and breaking the fourth wall. I think it lent itself well to the semi-non-linear storytelling and exploring of characters, but it also really heightened and played with the power dynamics between characters. It's those Dutch angles, baby! So these Dutch angles and the handheld camera shots really made me feel like I was right there with the characters. But also, these steep camera angles really made me question who had the power in the scene. You couldn't really tell what was up from down. I mean, you could, but like, you know what I mean? There's this skewed aspect. There's this slanted who has the upper hand. These shots were really in the face of the audience on the screen, really taking up a shape, which then contrasted the shots that were at eye level, parallel to the ground, just simple shots of two characters in conversation. In those shots, you could really tell who had the upper hand and who had the power in the dynamic of the two characters. Who had the power to change the trajectory of the conversation, to change the trajectory of where the events lead up to. So overall, these steep camera angles, in contrast to a steady eye-level shot, really accentuates who actually has the power. And through the build-up of this movie, seeing which character has more power here, which character has more power there, we ultimately get to the ending of the movie where the police have the power to take someone's life away. The problem that this movie brings to light is that the people with power, one, aren't being held accountable for their actions, and two, that they don't value human lives, that they don't value black lives the same way as white lives. So while this movie analyzes a system of opposites, love and hate, black and white, men and women, through the struggling power dynamics between all the characters, this movie drives home the necessity for empathy. The necessity for love and empathy. The song Fight the Power reverberates through the entirety of this movie, and I think that is exactly what this movie calls us to do. To not fight each other, but to fight the power that isn't valuing human lives, that isn't being held accountable for their actions. both in this movie and in the world today. This is what Spike Lee does so well in taking us on this journey to then ultimately show us and reflect the truth of a problem that exists in our world today. But I also think in that it's a movie and not just a strict documentation of what's happening, there is space created by Spike Lee for empathy. In what I have been seeing personally, I think that the empathy is the most important thing for the changes that have been made in the past few decades and for the changes that need to be made now. This one Instagrammer I really love, Holiday Phillips, she's amazing, go follow her, breaks down anti-racism and empathy in this really, really amazing video. In this video, she shares the research of this study and reflects upon this study that was performed on white people to test levels of empathy and neurological responses in seeing someone in pain. The researchers found that the white participants of this study, in watching another white person being pricked by a needle, had a very high empathetic neurological response, while at the same time watching a black person being pricked by a needle, their neurological response was much, much lower. This is what they call the racial empathy gap, and in what I've learned about it, it's a neurological response. But as Holiday Phillips in her video describes, it goes to show that beneath systemic racism that has manifested from this in the criminal justice system, healthcare, and the workplace, there is a psychological problem that cannot just be solved by systemic changes. As much as what we see happening in our world today, and as much as this study is hard to digest, Holiday Phillips, empowers us by saying, if lack of empathy is driving systemic racism, we all play a part. So she goes further to talk about this, and I think in my reflection of it is, as humans and as artists, we have a job to do. It is up to us to facilitate these conversations, to create a space for empathy, a space for people's empathy to grow, and it is our job to put into the media these stories that are happening in our world right now, and the stories that will get people to listen. Because this is what we need to be seeing, and this is what people need to feel in order for change to actually happen, not just systemically, but psychologically. And I think Spike Lee does this better than any director I've seen in reflecting the truth of what is going on right now in a way to really get audiences to feel. That's the role of an artist. That as an artist is what I want to do. And it's so apparent that he invests his whole soul into what he's writing and directing and acting in. What he's putting together, it is a perfect combination of what the world needs right now, then and now, and a perfect combination of what he loves. And that's what I hope to do. I really do hope to do that. That sums up the review of this movie. I really loved this movie as an artist and as a human, so on a scale of 1 to yum, because I have to do this every video, this movie is a whole meal of perfection. So thank you guys for watching. I am so enjoying making these videos every week, watching new movies. I watched Inception for the first time last week. Oh my god. So comment below what movies you'd like to see reviewed on this channel, and if you have already, I swear to you, it's on the list. I am so excited for what I have in store for y'all through these videos, but we're gonna keep that a secret. So I will see you next week on next week's Film Buff Friday review, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Bye!